It's been 5 years since the Pirates were in contention. The team was making a playoff push, but they needed talent. So they went out and traded for Rays star Chris Archer. You know the story, the Pirates gave away Tyler Glasnow, a future superstar pitcher, and Austin Meadows, who ended up being traded for Isaac Paredes. The Rays got a haul for this trade, but for the Pirates, it did not ignite a playoff push, and it instead began a long, insufferable rebuild. Owner of the Pirates, Bob Nutting, wanted a new direction, a new mind for this rebuild. Former Red Sox general manager Ben Cherington, he was the guy that ended up being hired. The prodigy who built the 2013 Boston Red Sox now had a brand new challenge: rebuilding a small market team.
Fly ball to right center field, Aquino back, and clear the deck with a cannonball coming!
The first thing is understanding, was Ben Cherington the right guy for the job to begin with? Let's go back and look at his Red Sox draft history, because if he was going to be building the Pirates, he would have to be good at drafting. And I mean, he had his moments, but he also had a few busts who were really bad, like the number 7 overall pick Trey Ball. Yeah, that was pretty nasty, but he also had talents like Andrew Benintendi and Michael Kopech, who have also had success at the MLB level. But whenever you look at it overall, he really wasn't the best drafter. After Boston, he went up to Toronto to become the vice president of operations. He was there for a little bit, assisting in a draft where they got Alek Manoah and another where they got Nate Pearson. The only problem is that every single prospect that I've named so far that has been drafted by Ben Cherington did not have a good 2023 at the MLB level. So looking back on it, I don't believe it was the best hiring. But to be fair, I mean, he hasn't done a bad job with the Pirates. With that being said, I still don't love his drafting even with them, but he's done a good job whenever it comes to putting together a good trade. Rebuilding means trading people at the MLB level for prospects. And in all honesty, I really gotta give him credit here. He's done such a good job at trading players in contract years or just flipping a guy in general. For instance, in 2021, he traded Adam Frazier for Jack Sawinski. Adam Frazier is currently a free agent that really just no one wants, whereas Jack Sawinski, on the other hand, just had a year with a 793 OPS and 26 homers. Now, the part that's crazy to me is that he's able to make these types of trades happen all the time. In 2021, they traded starter Joe Musgrove for bullpen arm David Bednar. Bednar is now one of the best closers in all of baseball. Or if you want a different example, go back and look at whenever they traded veteran pitcher Jose Quintana for young arm Johan Oviedo. These trades have practically built the team to what it is today. 2023 Pittsburgh was better. 4th in their division, a 76-win team. Still not great, but they haven't won more than 76 games since 2018. So it's clear the rebuild is potentially nearing its final days. But, you know, going into the offseason, they had one glaring problem that needed to be fixed. The starting rotation needed a complete revamp. You look back at last year's team, what do they have? So you got Mitch Keller, 4.21 ERA in the rotation, okay, great. Luis Ortiz, young pitcher, pitched a decent bit, and he actually looked really solid, giving around 5 or so innings of good work. They had Rich Hill, and they traded him. Osvaldo Bido, he was in the rotation at times. Well, he's gone now. So what do they got? Well, back in the 2023 draft, they got Paul Skeens. They picked him. He's very close to being MLB ready, and he's expected to be up around July. So you have Keller, Ortiz, and Skeens. The 3 spot was supposed to be for Johan Oviedo, but he unfortunately had to get Tommy John. He's now out all of 2024, and this put them in a weird spot where they really need arms. So this offseason had to be one where they made trades, bringing in starters, and even spending a bit of money. GM Ben Cherington made it clear that the priority was pitching, as it of course had to be. So what moves did they end up making? Well, they traded for Marco Gonzalez from the Atlanta Braves. Marco had a 5.22 ERA last year and a 4.13 ERA the year prior. Clearly a pitcher who just really shouldn't be anywhere near your rotation, yet he is currently a starter. They also signed Martin Perez from the Texas Rangers. Martin is really interesting because he was so good in 2022, but his 2023 was quite bad. So they added 2 starters onto the rotation that they already have, which again is Keller, Ortiz, and eventually Skeens around July. They also have Jared Jones, who's going to be really good. He's at the AAA level, another prospect, and he should be up any time now. But the problem is, you won't have Skeens for a good portion of your year. So who's going to be in the rotation instead of Skeens? And honestly, it could be anyone. Bailey Falter, the former Phillies pitcher, Pittsburgh acquired him at the 2023 trade deadline, and it's a good shot it could be him. He had a 5.36 ERA last year, so he was ugly. Quinn Priester, a former prospect of the Pirates, he's an option with his 7.74 ERA. Or you could go with Rowanzi Contreras. Now, I really liked Rowanzi back in 2022. He was so good, put up great numbers. Then 2023 comes around and he's just not the same arm mechanically. The velocity was down, it was ugly. They would have to completely just retool him, and I'm not sure if the Pittsburgh Pirates are actually capable of doing that, but I guess we'll see. I'm not saying that the Pirates won't be competitive in 2024, but truth be told, it's just not really acceptable. This rotation could be so much better right now, and you have to hear me out here. It's clear that a starting pitching upgrade would be major. And I'm not talking about Martin Perez or Marco Gonzalez. They are not upgrades. They're paying Gonzalez $2 million in 2024 and Perez $8 million next year, combining for a total of $10 million for those two. So if they would have just dipped into free agency, they could have actually just paid money for a quality pitcher instead of veterans who are far past their prime. For example, Cuban starting pitcher Yariel Rodriguez is making $8 million a year for 4 seasons. He's young and he's put together multiple 1 ERA seasons in a row. Now, the reason he was cheap is because he did not pitch in 2023 because he wanted to go in MLB, his team said no, so he just sat out the year. He landed a 4-year deal with the Blue Jays, making $8 million a season. The small market Pirates could have easily matched that contract or even gone above that. If you're paying the other two a combined $10 million, why don't you go and pay Yariel Rodriguez $10 million a year for 4 years? It doesn't make sense. Yariel would be an upgrade, whereas Gonzalez and Perez are really already what you have. And by the way, they spent another $10 million just a few days ago, signing reliever Aroldis Chapman on a 1-year, $10 million deal. So wait, let me get this straight. You could sign Aroldis for 10, but you can't go out and sign a starter? That's the problem here. I don't doubt that Aroldis is going to be good. I expect a good year out of him like what we got last year. But the bullpen was already a strength of this team. All they did was make this strength even stronger, which of course that works. That's something that you can do, except whenever you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. When you have holes, you have to fill them instead of doing what they've done. Bednar, Chapman, Moretta, Holderman, they're all going to be good, and it's going to be one of the best bullpens in baseball. I will tell you that right now. But the bullpen won't matter whenever they're coming into a situation where the game is already over. What if they signed Yariel Rodriguez instead of going after Gonzalez and Perez? Or what if they didn't sign Chapman, Perez, and never traded for Gonzalez? That would be an extra $20 million to go and spend on a player. $20 million to spend on a premier player, to be exact. This team is up and coming, and I really am excited for the future of Pittsburgh, but what I'm trying to say is that they had choices to make this team better by going in different directions. They chose this direction, and I disagree with it. I will say, I will give them credit where credit is due. They have fixed veterans in the past. You look at Jose Quintana. Quintana hadn't been good since 2017. He looked more washed than it can really get. But then he gets to Pittsburgh, has a great 2022, putting up a 3.50 ERA, and he's been good since then. Or look at starter Tyler Anderson, 4.35 ERA in 2021 with the Buccos, and he was someone no one had expectations for. They have made this type of thing work in the past, but we'll see if it actually ends up working here in 2024. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.